What are we talking about today?
Amanda Bynes, because last week we talked about Britney.
Yeah, and Amanda Bynes is sort of like you could say she's like, would you say she's like a mini Britney? Is that mean to say? Because her experience is
No,
her own, but there's a lot of reflections on their experiences, I would say.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like at some point Amanda did an interview where she opened up more and we found out Amanda also loves Adderall. And so I think the that's where you get to see the parallels of like manically posting on social media and
Well, I mean, that's kind of how, if my understanding serves me correctly, meaning I saw an episode of Do We Know Them About It today. Didn't like her sort of like unraveling start with like tweets about like wanting Drake to like smash her vagina or something?
to murder it.
Excuse me, to murder her vagina. There's been a murder in my vagina.
Yes, murder it.
Murder? Murder most
Uh,
foul.
yes, she started getting on Twitter and like she like retired. She's like, I don't enjoy acting anymore, so I'm retiring.
Yeah.
And then she would tweet at people because like she would call everyone ugly too. But it was usually to get back at them for some reason. Like
Oh, okay.
at some point, someone like Courtney Love was like, you need to pull it together, babe.
Yeah,
And she
yeah.
was like, Dear Courtney Love, you're ugly.
One thing I have noticed, because I have done a little research on Amanda Bynes myself, for my part,
Yeah.
is she's, and I don't mean this meanly, but she's not like a verbal person. Like,
Oh,
or at least it's really interesting the way like I'm curious to see like your Amanda Bynes that like warms the cockles of your millennial female heart, because I don't understand what she's like any other way than she is
in
now. And
what way do you, just the Twitter to present day kind of,
post Unraveling has been all of
yeah.
my exposure really to Amanda Bynes. Otherwise, I've just seen pictures and Google image searches.
Okay.
Yeah.
She, you know what I'm seeing?
Yeah.
It's still like, guess what? Guess what it's using for my microphone?
What?
My AirPods.
Oh, okay. It sounds
Does
fine.
it sound good?
Yeah.
Well, y'all, this week was a series of unfortunate events, and you only get a few more minutes of Nathan's voice because then his microphone cut out. Although I could hear him, you cannot. And so the rest of this creatively edited episode will just be me talking to myself.
Amanda Bynes, I think she's born the same year as me, 1986. So she
Oh,
got
okay.
on all
Yeah.
that when she was
Yeah.
11. And
Well,
I was like, why can't it be me? You know?
yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, did you have her sparkling personality, Katie?
No,
Did you have her talent?
no. That's what it
Maybe
was.
that's why.
You were saying she isn't as verbal as some other celebrities.
Yes, yes. I mean, and
Or
and
do you
also,
just mean now? Because now it's almost like she has a lobotomy.
well, that's the thing. It's like her. I've seen a couple of her TikToks in passing.
Yeah.
From specifically from the time like when she announced the podcast, and then she announced that she was ending the podcast, and then she announced that she was starting the podcast up again, and then she announced she was ending it again. I've seen all of those, and
Oh,
what
yeah.
she has is like she just kind of like stares into the camera completely deadpan,
Yeah.
but also she's like weirdly super funny.
So even though the podcast is doing really well and the response has been great, I am going to take a pause on it for now. We are not able to get the type of guests that I'd like on the show, like say Jack Harlow or Drake or Post Malone. So maybe one day if we're able to get those types of guests on the show, we will resume the podcast. But for now, I'm taking a pause on it. Thank you everyone who watched. I really hope you enjoyed it. And that is all for now.
I know.
Yeah, yeah, but she's dead-eyed as fuck.
Let's see Amanda Bynes' most popular sketch.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember what my favorite was.
Okay.
I'll show it to you.
So, like, what show is this? Like, I barely even know what show she's been on.
It's all that.
Okay.
It's time for Ask Ashley.
That's me. Hi, I'm Ashley, and I'm here to answer your letters. Our first letter comes from Tracy Sullivan of Yakima, Washington. Tracy writes, Dear Ashley, that's me. Dear Ashley, my mom always makes peanut butter and jelly sandwiches with the peanut butter on the top and the jelly on the bottom. But I prefer the jelly on the top and the peanut butter on the bottom. What should I do? Well, Tracy, here's a little advice. Turn the stinking sandwich over! The peanut butter's on the top and the jelly's on the... Just turn the stinking sandwich over! Man! Our next letter comes from Benjamin Tookis of Shreveport, Louisiana. Ben writes, Dear Ashley, that's me. Dear Ashley, I really like to ride my bike, but when I'm riding, there always comes a time when I want to stop. Usually, I just plow into a parked car or a brick wall, but this is starting to hurt. Any ideas on how to stop my bike? Well, Ben, here's a little advice. Use the stinking brakes! The brakes, Becky! Here's another idea. Next time you want to stop your stinking bike, why not drive it right into Tracy Sullivan from Yakima, Washington? She'll be the chick with the confused look on her face, standing there holding up her jelly sandwich the wrong way.
So I think she had the timing, and then they would, the adults would write the sketches, but it was usually something simple, It's like, how about you do an advice column, but everyone's question annoys you? And I always, they do her hair really cute and her outfit. And I made my parents watch this, so they'd be like, Dear Ashley, that's me. I think I must have reenacted this, basically. I was 11. Yeah. I was performing for my parents. Was I too old for that? Well, you know how with the Britney stuff, we were talking about how nobody knows how to communicate or ask for what they need, I don't know. I just feel like maybe we're all learning that now, Because I don't know how your parents are, but people of a different generation, it's like they're just taught to be polite or something. And that's why they hate all of us, They're like, how dare they ask for what they need? I suffered. Well, who acts like that? Just Gen Z. I can't come to work. But I've heard some Gen Z people, they'll make their boss talk to their mom. I thank God every day that I was born to the generation I was born to. Amen. I was just going to go to Amanda Bynes' IMDb page so I could just reminisce. She made all that first. From 1996 to 2002, whatever, that's the whole show. Then she was on, I think, had little parts on these other shows. She had a guest spot and was on 2 episodes of the Drew Carey Show. I remember then when she made this movie, Big Fat Liar, with Frankie Muniz. I didn't see it because by that point it was too young for me. And so my memory then is she did What a Girl Wants, where she's the president's daughter. For some reason, that's a whole genre. It's play the president's daughter. And then she had the Amanda Show. She got her own spin-off of all that, which was her own sketch show. That was kind of a big deal. And in that show, Quiet on Set, the documentary about the fucked upness of Nickelodeon, there was another girl from all that Dan Schneider, he was the showrunner of all that, and he's the guy that was gross. He gave her the Amanda Show. So before they went through with that, he had been telling this other girl on the show that he was going to give her own show. And her name was Katrina something. And we never heard from her again. She fell out of the good graces of Dan Schneider and then never really, and she's resentful, which is what's so funny about that documentary, because people are either mad because they acquiesced to whatever the weird stuff was that they were asked to do. Or they had their parents there who were being like good parents and keeping them from doing everything because they would ask them to do like this one time a black kid was asked to play like essentially a drug dealer on a kid's show, and his mom was there, and I think she was like, why are we doing this? You know? And then like that kid was resentful of his mom for standing up for him. But if you're in a place where you think like every single thing is going to affect your career, you know, for the rest of your life, and there's this one opportunity and your mom says no, and then after that show you never get a job again, you might attribute everything to your mom when you were never going to get a job again, you know? Like, there's no way to know. So she had the Amanda show, like, I don't know. She became the new favorite. And then she did that until it looks like 2002 when she started What I Like About You, which was on the WB network. So that was like a sitcom and a little bit older. It stars her and the girl from 90210, Jenny Garth. A lot of blind items were written by N.T. Lawyer because he got interested in Amanda Bynes when she started going off the rails. So he had like what he said were like old stories. He once wrote that she liked to have loud sex in her trailer, Amanda Bynes, and that it was also to like annoy Jenny Garth. Like she and Jenny Garth hated each other. Then when she did, like I said, start going off the rails and acting crazy on Twitter, when she was posting like videos and stuff, they were kind of sexual. So there was a part of it that was like, I mean, I'm sure as a young girl, she was getting sexualized in some way. She even dated this guy who was also in the cast. And he looks too old for her, if you ask me. 2002, yeah, I was 16. And I think that was the plot of the show, is like this teenage daughter goes and lives with her sister in New York because something happens to their parents, you know? Yeah, they drowned in a fire. Just like Sylvia Brown. They're showing her clips on TikTok lately. There's this one where this woman in the audience is like, I can't find my fiance. He died and no one can find his body.
I lost my boyfriend tragically a few years ago. They never found him. And I've had such a hard time since.
And Sylvia Brown goes, the reason they can't find him, honey, is because he's in water.
The reason why you didn't find him is because he's in water. And find him in water, it's like the girl that's missing in Aruba. You can't find somebody.
Well, it was September 11th. There was no, he was a fireman, but.
And then she looks at Montel, and Montel looks at her and is like, oh, so the water. So he's in the water that put out the fire. Did he drown? Nobody knows. They can't find his body. Oh, honey, he drowned. He drowned in the September 11th.
Well, if they were trying to put the fire out, Montel.
They could have, yeah.
No, they won't find him, but honey, that's okay, because it doesn't matter if they find him or not, he's still over there.
Sylvia Brown, check her out. Yeah, it says this. When Holly's father is transferred to Japan, she is sent to live with her big sister Valerie in New York City, turning Valerie's life upside down. They're not dead. I'm so sorry. I didn't watch that show and I don't know why, but every time I did, I think I was like, I wish that could be me. It's like aspirational or something. So she did that show for 4 years. I believe there are, but like I said, there are rumors about the set because of what NT wrote, that like Jenny Garth would say, don't fuck with me because I learned from the biggest bitch in TV, meaning Shannon Doherty. Well, I think if you're the older character on the show, maybe I've just seen it in media so much that like the older lady is going to look at the younger lady and just be like, everybody loves you because you're young, but you don't know what it's like. So I don't know if you know about She's the Man, but that came out in 2006, which is when I was a sophomore in college. When it came to DVD, my friends and I watched it every night. We watched it every single night. Well, it was like we had just found weed. And here, I don't know if you can see this video playing here. She's a girl and her mom really wants her to be like really girly and like go to the debutante ball. But then her brother, like they both play soccer. And her brother's like, I'm going to sneak away for 2 weeks. And he's like, she goes, well, school starts soon. And he's like, yeah, just like tell them I'm sick. And she decides, oh, well, they're cutting the soccer team at the girls' school. So I'm going to go pretend to be him so I can play soccer. And then this is her gay friend who turns her into a boy. It's the funniest movie ever, though. But I think that this movie is really important to her like lore. The plot of the movie is that she rooms with the young Channing Tatum as a boy. Because this movie is based on Twelfth Night, a little play by Shakespeare. Amanda Bynes, to be a boy, she does the accent of like a black man and a Southern person.
Okay, who's your daddy?
Huh?
I got her to agree to consider you. You're halfway in, man.
Oh, okay. So should I ask her out?
No, you don't want to freak her out. You gotta have a casual conversation first. Hello. Why do I get the feeling you don't do this very often?
Man, I'm not really good at talking to girls.
Why? You're hot.
What?
You know, you're an appealing guy, man. Guy, man.
Look, I don't know. I just always say the wrong thing.
Okay. All right, come on. Let's get up. I want to try something where I'm going to act like a girl, and you're going to talk to me, okay?
Ew, do I have to?
Yes. Because I'm Viola. Duke, nice to meet you.
Okay, that was creepy. You really just sounded like a girl just then.
I used to imitate my sister all the time. I got really good at it. Come on. Get up. Come on. Ask me some questions, and if the chemistry's right, things will just start flowing.
Questions about what?
Anything. Ask me if I like cheese.
Okay. Do you like cheese?
Well, why, yes, I do. My favorite's Gouda.
She and Channing Tatum did like press for the movie, and there are interviews with her where she says like, yeah, it kind of sucked to have to be a guy. And then she and Channing Tatum dated. So I'm sure it like fucked with her head like it would. Like it's like in this movie, the plot is that then she reveals she's a girl and she dates the Channing Tatum character, which is weird, you know? Then she did Hairspray in 2007. Then she did Sydney White, which is a really weird movie that's supposed to be kind of like Snow White, and it didn't really hit very hard. Well, then she did Easy A with Emma Stone, where she's in high school again, and she's very funny in it. She like they're in high school, she's a virgin, but like for some reason some rumor starts that she'll have sex with any guy. And then she takes that rumor to like help the loser guys. So like when loser guys say, "Hey, can I say we had sex?" She's like, "Sure, give me a gift card." I don't know. It sounds fucked up, but anyways, Amanda Bynes plays like the Christian girl at school who's like, "You're going to have to pay for your sins." And she's really good at it. And right after this, well, I guess this was like her last role, right? So she had this, and I didn't discover this movie till after it was in theaters. So I'm like watching it on TV or something, and she retires. And I'm like, it's too bad because this was good. Well, so then there was a rumor. I mean, I think she addressed it in this article that she did in 2018 for Paper Magazine. But she got the young slutty girl role in a movie called Hall Pass. And she got fired from that movie. She finally decided to like make a comeback and was like looking good in 2018. But I think like going back in time, because this is what explains it. So she got honest about what happened. And that's what I think is interesting. 2007 also saw Bynes star in a Snow White Goes to College teen flick, Sydney White. See, and then they have nothing to say about it because it was forgettable. I think like she had all these little roommates who were like the seven dwarfs. Anyways. Well, okay, so it says in 2007 because that's kind of like Britney's breakdown and Lindsay and stuff. She was managing to stay above the fray. I never really liked going out that much, she says, of those days. I only started going out around 25 years old. She says she didn't really drink much as a teenager and never liked the taste of alcohol. I could not stomach it. But she says, I started smoking marijuana when I was 16. Even though everyone thought I was a good girl, I did smoke marijuana from that point on. She hastens to add, I didn't get addicted. And I wasn't abusing it, and I wasn't going out and partying or making a fool of myself yet. She says this last part with a self-aware laugh. As time went on, however, her youthful experimentation with marijuana evolved into trying other, harder recreational drugs. Quote, later on, it progressed to doing Molly and ecstasy, she says matter-of-factly. I tried cocaine 3 times, but I never got high from cocaine. Okay. She says cocaine was never her drug of choice. One drug she admits she started taking on a regular basis, however, was Adderall. I definitely abused Adderall, she says. But that's the gateway, don't you think? So I think that's where it starts. But wait till you see what she says. She says around the time of Hairspray, she remembers reading an article in a magazine. Great. That called Adderall the new skinny pill, and they were talking about how women were taking it to stay thin. I was like, well, I have to get my hands on that. Like many of her fellow millennials experimenting with the amphetamine in their teenager college-aged years, Bynes said she was able to get a prescription after going to a psychiatrist and faking the symptoms of ADHD. You know, one day I was at the pharmacy. I used to have a job where I had to go to the pharmacy all the time. So I was there and I could see the drive up at the pharmacy as well. And there was a woman trying to get Ozempic and Adderall. And I just remember thinking, that lucky bitch. Okay, so now it says, looking back, she thinks Adderall played a big role in her behavior on set filming Hall Pass in the spring of 2010. One of the first instances when the public started to get an inkling that something might be amiss with the young actress, blah, 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 because we all knew she got fired, I think. When I was doing Hall Pass, I remember being in the trailer and I used to chew the Adderall tablets because I thought they made me more high that way, she says. I remember chewing on a bunch of them and literally being scatterbrained and not being able to focus on my lines or memorize them for that matter. While filming, Bynes said she remembers seeing my image on the screen and literally tripping out and thinking my arm looked so fat because it was in the foreground or whatever. And I remember rushing off set and thinking, oh my God, I look so bad. It was the mixture of being so high that I couldn't remember my lines and not liking my appearance that prompted Bynes to pull out of the film, despite reports later that emerged to the contrary, alleging she'd been fired. See, I thought she was probably acting crazy, and that's why they fired her. A few months after walking away from Hall Pass, Bynes recalls attending a screening of her last film, Easy A, and having a different reaction than everyone else to the movie. Not unlike her discomfort on Hall Pass, she elaborates, I literally couldn't stand my appearance in that movie and I didn't like my performance. I was absolutely convinced I needed to stop acting after seeing it. She continues, I was high on marijuana when I saw that, but for some reason it really started to affect me. I don't know if it was a drug-induced psychosis or what, but it affected my brain in a different way than it affects other people. It absolutely changed my perception of things. Well, because then she moved to New York in like 2012, and we would see her occasionally pop up in like paparazzi photos. And I don't know if you remember, she pierced her cheeks. I think she was only there for a couple years until she threw a bong out her window and got arrested. And then her parents came to get her. They would write reports that she was like trying on clothes at a store and like smoking weed in the changing room. And she would obsessively tweet about her appearance. Like that was the main catalyst or something. Well, she's changed so much that I like can't make sense of it. But like if NT Lawyer has any credibility at all, or just being a child and being so close with Dan Schneider, who seems to have pedophilic tendencies, you know, it's like she's trying to make herself undesirable. I think that some of that with Britney too, even though Britney's very confusing because she'll be like, I don't want anyone to do my hair. But then she still always has extensions. And I'm like, well, someone did your hair. Who was it? Could we get someone new? Maybe she just goes on Amazon, you know? I would get the tape-ins if I were her. Here, I was going to show you a funny clip because in 2017, she did like a comeback interview with like a really small outlet. Yeah, and I can't find it. It's with something called The Lowdown. I just remember her being on there and the girl saying, so what did you mean when you said I want Drake to murder my vagina?
I actually wasn't being insincere. I was like saying, murder my vagina.
You were serious.
I was serious, but I was also on drugs. So that was my way of saying like, let's do it, man.
Let's do it.
But I was like on drugs and trying to be hilarious.
Yeah. She was like, I just had a crush on Drake and I was like, I want to fuck you. She's like, and I also wanted him to know that I like it rough. I also thought what I was saying was hilarious. And it's like, yeah, it kind of was, Amanda. I love how now when she goes on, she'll be like, sorry, I always sign off my Instagram videos really stupidly. And I'm trying to work on what to say goodbye. And it's like, have we lost her completely? Or is she's still kind of funny?
So, that's about it. Sorry about my lame ass sign off. I always like kind of sign off these Instagram videos like stupidly.
I was just going through a timeline from this guy on YouTube who's really good, and he has several different channels. He used to work with BJ, Crazy BJ, and they seem to have had a falling out. So he still has like a couple of channels, and he has one where he made, I think it was like a 3-part series into Amanda Bynes. And he says her parents came to get her from New York. And then I can't quite remember if that's when the conservatorship started or if she was then living in LA, kind of like with the help of them. And then she set something on fire in their driveway. Well, it was, I think, bad enough that it was like, you're putting yourself or others in danger. We're going to put you in a mental health hold, you know? So like she got put in a conservatorship then, and did you hear about the Twitter account that would like pretend to be her?
We can't talk about Amanda Bynes post-2018 without talking about one of the most infamous celebrity impersonators of all time, Persian LA 27. Now, I'm gonna go over this briefly because we don't have a lot of time, but because Amanda had deactivated and reactivated her social media so many times, some fans took it upon themselves to start impersonating her. The most infamous account claiming to be Amanda was Persian LA 27. Now, there was heavy speculation that this account could have been Amanda, claiming that she was engaged to be married and even possibly pregnant. Now, this entire situation got really murky because this account would post never-before-seen photos of Amanda. Many passerbys on social media just assumed Ashley Banks was Amanda Bynes' alter ego. Persian LA 27 claimed as Amanda that she had to terminate her pregnancy at only 13 years old because a Nickelodeon executive had impregnated her, and that the only reason she was put in the mental institution was because she revealed the abuse enacted by her own father. Because Amanda's story was such a roller coaster up until this point, a lot of people took these claims at face value. And when Persian LA 27 posted screenshots from inside of Amanda Bynes' Instagram, people genuinely believed it was Amanda, being forcefully put under a conservatorship and unable to speak her own mind on her official social media accounts, especially given that she had just deactivated her Twitter and come back. It felt like Persian LA 27 could have been her actual outlet to share her true feelings without censorship. However, it would later come out that Amanda Bynes' Instagram was hacked.
So I'll get my stories confused because there was this Twitter account called Persian LA 27, and it had access to pictures that like we'd never seen, and like once tweeted a picture of Amanda Bynes' driver's license. So it seemed like she was annoyed by her parents being in control. So this is how she was rebelling. She created like a different Twitter, and she would say, "My name is Ashley Banks." They had all of this stuff, and they would tweet things about Amanda and sound like Amanda and sound crazy like Amanda too. But then it would tweet like, "Can anybody help me with like some Uber money so I can get a ride?" And that's where it would be confusing. Like, why doesn't Amanda have any money? You know? So she was claiming her parents wouldn't help her get to school at FITM, you know? From like 2014 to 2017. And then in 2018, she like basically she went on drugs again and like got put in the conservatorship. And then she started dating this guy, Paul, that she met in rehab. And she would be like, "This is Paul." I think when she was still acting, I thought she had this like silly voice that she was doing, but she still kind of has it. So I'm like, no, that's just how she talks. So then she was dating that guy. And then at some point she said she was pregnant, and people were like, "How do you get pregnant if you're in a conservatorship?" And they weren't sure if she just like posted a fake picture of the baby in the belly. What do they call that? Sonogram? Well, I think because of the stuff Britney came out and said that she was like forced to have an IUD, it was like a question in people's minds. And I know, but also if you can't take care of yourself, I don't think you should be having a kid. But that's what I basically said last week. I think everyone should have to do that. They should be I said we should sew up their holes. I know that's terrible. That's terrible. We shouldn't actually do that. So then it was like, okay, she's not pregnant. Maybe she lied. And, you know, her online presence has been weird for a while. In 2018, when she had this like comeback, 2017, 2018, she seemed rather normal, maybe lethargic. You know, like you might think if you were having manic episodes, you're now on a medication that makes you a little more calm or something. Like now it's like to an extreme, wouldn't you say? Well, then it seems like every once in a while she comes out and has like a new interest, you know? Like she wanted to become a nail tech, but she kept going online and saying, "Okay, wish me luck. Tomorrow I'm taking the test again." And then we would hear like that she failed the test again. And I don't know what the test is, but it was like, I just learned that if it doesn't get cured all the way, you can develop like a bacterial infection or something. Hence, I will not do my own gel nails. Like, just don't let me, like, I don't need to do it. Hey guys, you can buy your own gel nail kits, but like, think twice. That's what I'm going to say. So anyways, so then she says she's starting a podcast.
So me and Paul Sminsky are working on a podcast. It's super impressive that Paul is going to be a part of it because he's a scientist and a biochemist. So having his beautiful mind being a part of this podcast is just going to bring it to another level, I think, because he's going to ask great questions, and I think he'll kind of carry most of the weight in terms of just like topics of conversation. Like whenever he and I talk on the phone or I see him in person, he's always just so interesting, and I cannot wait for him to co-host the podcast with me. At first, we're going to interview our friends, and then we're hoping to take it mainstream and interview celebrities and artists like I posted in the other video. So that's about it. So even though the podcast is doing really well and the response has been great, I am going to take a pause on it for now. We are not able to get the type of guests that I'd like on the show, like say Jack Harlow or Drake or Post Malone. So maybe one day, if we're able to get those types of guests on the show, we will resume the podcast. But for now, I'm taking a pause on it. Thank you everyone who watched. I really hope you enjoyed it. And that is all for now.
She's like, I will be doing my podcast again. I'm really excited. My friends were telling me that even though I couldn't get the guests I wanted, I should just keep going because it takes time to grow. So, bye. Yeah. I love seeing her get a new interest, you know, and then whatever aside she has for us, because she got that face tattoo. And then she started to get it removed. Like it's less intense now. But then I think she decided she liked it again. They say if you get face tattoos to be worried about that person because they're not making like good decisions. If she has such body dysmorphia, you know, maybe she's like, if I put a heart on my face, I'll just look at that. Oh my God, did you learn about her? She made a rap song. Oh my God. I just learned about this. Okay.
This the way I wake up, get the grind on the hustle, yo. Living by the paycheck, so I know it's time to double down on the money, cause I know I can't be troubled. Call me trouble when I'm in the mob, middle of the rumble. Where the fuck my dogs at? I'm cruising through the jungle. Bottom of the cup, I was starting to fucking stumble. LA is the city where we party all night. Chill until the AM, off to the next flight.
Diamonds on my neck, on my wrist. Diamonds on my fist, yeah, I whip. Diamonds on my neck, on my wrist. Diamonds on my fist, yeah, I whip.
Someone in the comments wrote, when she said diamonds on my fish, John Wick, that shit spoke to me. Because that is all she says. I think she says diamonds on my neck, on my wrist. Diamonds on my fist. Yeah, Wick. I don't know what she's saying, but... So what was up with the guy that she started the podcast with? He looks like he does drugs because he wears colorful makeup and he's colored his hair.
For the first time in 10 years, Amanda Bynes started a podcast with her friend Paul Szymanski. She spoke directly to TMZ, and she did state she wouldn't be talking about anything regarding her former career or personal life, including her inpatient treatments and her mental health. She specifically said that she wants to talk to the guests that they have about their personal lives and fun stories and careers, and that they find it more interesting. Now, her first podcast was put out just this month, December 8th, along with her co-host, Paul Szymanski. But already, a TikTok creator named Everybody Hates Xtina had some pretty serious allegations about this guy right here.
And we need to get this out there. The guy that Amanda has made this podcast with is not a scientist. He's a sociopath. One day we moved in together. I went out of town and he sacrificed my dog's life, unalived him to a blood moon, and left the moment that I got into the security footage because he knew there was videos of him doing it on there.
Now, this is just my opinion, but she released a video saying that she's going to pause the podcast because she's not getting the big guests like she wanted. And she mentioned names like Drake, Jack Harlow, and Post Malone. But I think, in my opinion, it's because of the allegations against her friend Paul Szymanski that made her put a pause on that. That happened just yesterday. Later on last night, she released a video stating that she was not going to pause the podcast and they're going to continue with the podcast. And really, really, really late into the early morning of this morning, she posted this statement on her TikTok. She said she was turning off comments for a while, that she appreciates everyone and their concern. She goes on to talk about the woman who made that TikTok about those allegations. And after being asked for evidence, the creator who posted those allegations on TikTok made her social medias private. Now, Amanda went on to say, I do not approve of the harassment that has been happening to Paul. I do not approve of everyone that has blindly picked up a story that has been hearsay and has prompted everyone to harass not only Paul's Instagram, but mine as well. She said, please stop harassing his Instagram. Please stop spam calling him horrible names in my comments. Stop blindly believing someone without evidence. She said she'll turn on comments eventually and that if the comments still persist, she'll no longer be using this platform. Regardless of what some people are saying about Amanda right now, like her tone and her look and everything like this, I do believe she's got a really good thought process going up in her head right now. And she speaks coherently, even though it's not exactly what you guys were expecting, because you were expecting perky old funny Amanda Bynes from 20 years ago. A lot of things has changed, and I feel like she's still coming out of her shell. And I'm sure she knows how to recognize if this guy, her friend, is good for her or not for her. And regarding that woman who put out allegations, she put her shit private. She did. So you can't see anything anymore. So until like I said, they were just allegations, we should give her friend Paul Szymanski the benefit of the doubt.
The way, like the kind of story that it is and the way that she tells it indicates mental illness to me. Maybe it's the paranoia type stuff that I've seen with these people who are on meth, I'd say, and what we kind of like what we learned about Britney Spears being afraid and needing a knife. Her story to me sounds like all of a sudden she became paranoid that this guy she was living with, who was her roommate, had these like intentions about her dog, you know, and they're crazy. Like he sacrificed the dog, you know. But it's almost like she took that and made up her own story. Because when you're in mania or some kind of drug-induced psychosis, that's what you start to think, is that like everyone's out to get you. See, that creator I talked about earlier on YouTube, his name's Jake Yancey. He said that Amanda met Paul Szymanski in rehab, which to me seemed believable. So I just wonder if this woman that was his roommate was his drug buddy. You know, I'm a detective. Well, I figured out that one thing, so now I'm done for today. But it sounds like on his LinkedIn, he is a scientist, like PhD student at a school. And I remember Amanda saying she was really excited because he'll be able to bring that to the table. And then they interview a tattoo artist. The clip I saw was her being like, welcome to the podcast, Dahlia. Can you please tell us what your occupation is and how did you get into that? She wants to do a good job. I think it's just wasn't the thing that like made her excited to have to sit there on camera. Like, it really seems like she still has the body dysmorphia or something, because then she came out and said she's going on Ozempic and that's so she'll look better in paparazzi photos, you know? You can never stop looking in the mirror, you know? So nothing is going to turn off your whole looking in the mirror, not liking what you see. You would have to go to therapy and work on like that just not being the first thing that you think about or something. And how does that get better? Because that's just with you all the time. But I don't know. It's like, I don't know. It seems tough. Well, she's been in the public eye and she still is. That's why people watch this podcast. So I don't know. Then did you see, she had an art show and she wore this tiny top, her boobies and her belly. So this was taken or posted December 21st, 2024, and that's the last thing on her Instagram. Although she does have stories. Oh, that was in September. She was with Paul Saminsky. So they must still be friends. They're just not doing. But I don't know what, like, the difference with Britney is, she seems to be doing okay. She's doing fine. Even though, did you know that she at one time said her dad had molested her? But see, it was a Twitter rant that she went on. And, it didn't seem to be something she was saying with a clear head. It didn't. Right. Well, and actually, at the time, people were like, maybe this is her talking about Dan Schneider, but she doesn't want to say Dan Schneider's name. So she says, my father, because he was a father figure. And you know what Emily Rose said to me the other day was, I don't know who we were comparing Britney to, if it was another pop star, but Britney had all this responsibility in terms of like touring and making money because she then employed all of these people, like the Britney machine. Like, who knows if her parents had good intentions when they set up the conservatorship. If anything, it's like people are always going to try to get into the Britney machine because if you can get her back working again, it's like she could employ a city, And I think she would say stuff like, I want to perform again, but it would be like, do you know the responsibility that entails? Because then you are signing a contract and you have all these dancers and other people depending on you. And at the end of the day, that's where it's like, well, how can you put all of that on someone who needs their life to be run by someone else if you're saying that's what she needs? So, yeah, I do think Amanda Bynes has a better support system. That makes sense. So, I have asked another friend to come on next week and tell us about Demi Lovato. His name's Jason. I think I showed you his TikToks. So, that's another pop star, and she had like a bunch of problems too. So I don't know. I just was like, I'm in the mood to talk about people with problems. Starlets with problems. And if you have a child who would like to become a pop star, there's much to learn. All right. Bye, everybody.
Scrolling through my feed, all I see is bullshit, fake news, clickbait. Gotta sift through all of it. Like share, retweet, trying to keep up with the trends, but it's all just a facade, man. It's all pretend. All my bullshit, that's all it is. You say